There is a substance containing a compound so potent, a pharmaceutical giant filed patents to control its use for managing body weight. A single serving can deliver up to 137 times the amount of this powerful antioxidant compared to its common alternative, a molecule Zen Buddhist monks have used for over 800 years to achieve a state of calm alertness during meditation. The global market for drugs that attempt to mimic its effects is projected to reach $100 billion, yet the original source costs less than $2 a day. For centuries, this was the exclusive tool of Zen masters and the samurai warrior class, used not just as a beverage, but as a medicine to sharpen the mind for meditation and prepare the spirit for battle. It was a complete medical system contained within a single bowl. Today, that ancient wisdom is often dismissed as a folk remedy, or worse, it's reduced to a trendy, sugary latte in a coffee shop. Its most powerful components are scientifically deconstructed, isolated, and sold in plastic bottles as expensive supplements. This knowledge was not forgotten because it was weak, it was sidelined because it was too powerful to be controlled. The problem was never its effectiveness. The problem is that a simple leaf grown in a garden cannot be patented, it cannot generate recurring profit, and it cannot be sold back to you for $100 billion. Before I open this file and show you the centuries of evidence, if this kind of knowledge is important to you, the simplest way to ensure it continues to be shared is to subscribe to the channel. The file I'm about to open contains the evidence, the studies, and the patents that tell a story hidden in plain sight. This isn't just about a beverage, it's about a systematic effort to deconstruct a powerful natural medicine and sell its pieces back to us at an astronomical markup. The substance at the heart of the story is matcha, but not the sugary, diluted green powder sold in coffee chains. We are talking about the vibrant, stone-ground, ceremonial-grade tea that has been the cornerstone of Zen Buddhism and Japanese warrior culture for nearly 1,000 years, a complete medical system contained within a single bowl. This knowledge was not simply forgotten over time, it was deliberately sidelined. The reason is as simple as it is frustrating. A single leaf grown in a garden has a fatal flaw in the eyes of a $100 billion industry. It cannot be patented, it cannot be exclusively controlled, and its holistic benefits cannot be replicated by a single, isolated molecule. It is far more profitable to study this leaf, identify its most powerful compound, and then file a patent for its specific use, effectively claiming ownership over a function of nature and turning a simple, affordable plant into an expensive, recurring prescription. The result is a calculated illusion of progress, where we are offered patented drugs with severe side effects to treat the very conditions that this ancient practice was known to help manage. The original, synergistic solution was systematically dismissed as a folk remedy or a simple cultural tradition, not because it was ineffective, but because its effectiveness could not be owned. This wasn't a failure of science, it was a triumph of marketing. To understand how this happened, we must first understand where this knowledge came from and how a Zen monk in the 12th century discovered a secret that modern science is only now beginning to confirm. Our story begins not in a modern laboratory, but on a ship crossing the sea in the year 1191. A Zen monk named Myoan Aisai was returning to Japan from China, carrying not just sacred texts, but living seeds and a revolutionary new idea. He had witnessed Chinese monks using a powdered green leaf to sustain their focus through hours of silent meditation, achieving a state of profound calm and alertness. This wasn't the discovery of a simple new beverage, it was the introduction of a powerful tool for mastering the mind, a secret he believed held the key to a healthier, longer life for his entire nation. Aisai didn't just share the tea, he documented its power with the precision of a physician. In 1211 AD, he published the Kissa Yajoki, which translates to Drinking Tea for Health, and this was far more than a simple recipe book. It was a formal medical treatise, the first of its kind in Japan, boldly declaring that tea was a potent remedy for a host of ailments and was essential for maintaining a vigorous life. He famously wrote that tea was the elixir that creates the mountain-dwelling immortal, framing it not as a cultural pleasure, but as a foundational pillar of medicine, a gift from nature to heal the body and sharpen the spirit. This powerful knowledge quickly spread from the quiet monasteries to the highest echelons of Japanese society, finding its most dedicated practitioners among the samurai warrior class. For these warriors, control of the mind was as critical as control of the sword, and they valued matched for the calm, focused energy it provided before battle. It gave them a state of heightened awareness, without the nervous agitation of other stimulants. This wasn't about relaxation, it was about achieving peak performance under the most extreme pressure imaginable, a secret weapon hidden within a simple ceramic bowl. Over the next few centuries, this practice was refined into a profound art form, the highly ritualized Japanese tea ceremony known as shinoya. Masters like Sen no Rikyu transformed the simple act of drinking tea into a moving meditation, a spiritual practice embodying four core principles: harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. The tea rooms became sacred spaces, the gardens outside meticulously designed for contemplation. The ceremony was a deliberate act of slowing down, of honoring a plant that was seen as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, a holistic tool that nourished the entire person, not just one isolated symptom. And this wasn't an isolated phenomenon, a cultural quirk unique to Japan. Thousands of miles away in southern China, herbalists during the Ming Dynasty were documenting the benefits of another powerful plant, Gynostemma pentaphyllum. They revered it as the immortality herb, observing that entire communities who drank it as a daily tea were known for their extraordinary longevity and resilience to disease. Two different cultures, separated by geography and time, independently arrived at the same conclusion that certain leaves, when prepared with intention, were not just a beverage, they were a cornerstone of a long and healthy life. For centuries, this wisdom was accepted without question, its effectiveness proven not in a sterile lab, but in the sustained vitality of monks, the focused minds of warriors, and the long lives of villagers. The proof was in the results. But was this all just a matter of spiritual belief, a placebo effect amplified by ritual and tradition? Or did these ancient cultures, through careful observation, stumble upon a powerful biological mechanism that modern science is only now beginning to understand? The answer lies not in ancient texts, but in the molecular composition of the leaf itself. The question was never if these practices worked, the question was how. When modern science finally pointed its most sophisticated tools at these ancient leaves, it didn't debunk the wisdom of the monks and herbalists, it validated it with breathtaking precision. Scientists discovered that a single serving of ceremonial-grade matcha is not just a simple drink, it's a complex delivery system for a symphony of bioactive compounds, including enzymes, amino acids, vitamins, and a dense concentration of polyphenol. They found that because the entire leaf is consumed, one bowl can deliver up to 137 times the amount of the powerful antioxidant EGCG compared to a standard cup of steeped green tea. This isn't just about antioxidants, it's about a unique chemical synergy that ancient warriors mastered for the battlefield. The leaf contains a rare amino acid called L-theanine, which researchers in a 2008 study in biological psychology found could generate alpha brainwaves, inducing a state of calm, focused alertness without drowsiness. This molecule works in perfect harmony with the naturally occurring caffeine, smoothing out the typical energy spike and preventing the crash. This is the biological explanation for the paradox the Zen masters cherished, a state of profound tranquility and heightened awareness, a mechanism that science is only now able to measure and confirm. The evidence for its metabolic effects is just as strong, and it directly challenges the idea that a simple plant can't produce powerful results. A landmark study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that a green tea extract rich in these compounds increased 24-hour energy expenditure and significantly boosted fat oxidation, an effect the researchers noted went far beyond what could be explained by caffeine alone. Another study, published in the journal Obesity in 2007, showed that after just 12 weeks, participants consuming these compounds had a significant reduction in body weight, waist circumference, and most critically, visceral fat area. And this principle extends far beyond a single plant, confirming a universal pattern. When scientists investigated China's immortality herb, Gynostemma pentaphyllum, they discovered its power came from its ability to activate a critical enzyme in the human body, AMP-activated protein kinase, or AMPK. AMPK is often called the body's master metabolic switch, and when it's turned on, it sends a clear signal to your cells to stop storing fat and start burning it for energy. A 2014 human trial published in the journal Obesity confirmed this, showing that an extract of this herb significantly reduced abdominal fat in obese subjects by activating this exact metabolic pathway. So the evidence is clear and it is overwhelming. This was never superstition. It was sophisticated biochemistry mastered through centuries of careful observation. These cultures didn't need gas chromatographs or DNA sequencers to understand the results. They saw it in the unwavering focus of the meditating monk and the resilient health of the long-lived villager. The science doesn't replace their wisdom. It simply provides the footnotes. So if the data is this conclusive, if the mechanisms are this well understood, why isn't this the foundation of our modern approach to metabolic health? The answer has nothing to do with biology and everything to do with business. The answer isn't a conspiracy. It's a business model, and the suppression wasn't a secret plot. It was a public strategy of dismissal and deconstruction. The moment Western science began validating these ancient claims in the late 1990s, the focus immediately shifted from celebrating a holistic solution to isolating its most profitable components. The narrative was expertly changed. It was no longer about the wisdom of the whole leaf, but about the active ingredient, EGCG, a single molecule that could be extracted, concentrated, and most importantly, controlled. The original plant was reframed as primitive and imprecise, a relic of the past, while the isolated compound was marketed as the precise, powerful future of medicine. Follow the money, the logic becomes undeniable. The global market for patented obesity drugs is on track to exceed $100 billion a year, an industry built on lifelong prescriptions and recurring revenue. Now compare that to a plant that has been cultivated for centuries, a solution that costs less than $2 a day and can be grown in a garden. In this economic model, a simple, effective, and affordable natural remedy isn't a breakthrough, it's a threat. It doesn't generate billions in quarterly earnings, it doesn't support massive sales teams, and it doesn't create dependent customers. It simply works. The strategy was executed with clinical precision. First, you deconstruct the plant, telling the public that tea is nice, but the isolated EGCG is the real science. Then, you privatize the function. In 2002, the corporate giant Procter & Gamble filed U.S. Patent 6,414,023b1, which didn't claim to invent the tea leaf, but claimed ownership over a method of controlling body weight, using its catechins. They sought to patent a function of nature itself, turning 1,000 years of cultural wisdom into their intellectual property. This is how a free gift from the earth is systematically transformed into a product you have to buy back from a corporation. This process is protected by a powerful regulatory moat. The FDA's drug approval pathway, which costs hundreds of millions of dollars, is designed for single, synthetic molecules, not complex whole foods with synergistic effects. This system creates an impossible standard for natural remedies to meet, effectively barring them from being recognized as legitimate medicine while fast-tracking patented drugs. It's a system that doesn't ask, what is most effective? It asks, what is most profitable and controllable? The result is that safe, natural solutions are legally relegated to the status of mere supplements, while riskier synthetic drugs are granted the full authority of medicine. Into this void stepped the inferior replacement. First came drugs like orlistat, which caused severe gastrointestinal side effects by crudely blocking fat absorption. Now, we have GLP-1 agonists, a $100 billion industry that requires lifelong injections and carries significant risks of thyroid tumors and pancreatitis. These are sledgehammer solutions, targeting a single pathway with brute force and creating a cascade of unintended consequences. They're a clumsy attempt to replicate with a needle what the Zen masters achieved with a bowl, providing a fraction of the benefit at 1,000 times the cost and 1,000,000 times the risk. Ultimately, this knowledge was never lost because it was weak. It was sidelined because it was too powerful and too simple to be owned. A leaf that provides calm alertness, boosts metabolism, and reduces visceral fat has a fatal flaw in the eyes of a multi-billion-dollar industry. It cannot be patented, it cannot be exclusively controlled, and its benefits cannot be sold back to you on a recurring subscription. This wasn't a failure of biochemistry, it was a triumph of a business model that profits from complexity and disease, not from simplicity and health. But what if we could reclaim that simplicity? Reclaiming this knowledge doesn't require a revolution, it simply requires a choice, a decision to trust the evidence of centuries over the marketing of a single quarter. The path from a 12th century monastery to a $100 billion market was never about improving health, it was about owning the mechanisms of healing. The wisdom of the whole leaf, with its natural synergy of calm energy and metabolic fire, was deconstructed not to make it better, but to make it patentable. They didn't need to burn the ancient texts, they just needed to convince you that a single molecule in a pill was more advanced than 1,000 years of results in a bowl. But this wisdom has a way of enduring. It survived not in corporate archives or patent filings, but in the quiet rituals of Japanese tea masters and the daily habits of long-lived communities in southern China. It is still here, waiting for you in the vibrant green of ceremonial matcha or the subtle strength of the immortality herb. You now have the evidence, you understand the history, and you know why it was pushed aside. This understanding is a form of armor against the marketing that tells you health must be complicated, that it must be expensive, that it must come from a prescription. If this story matters, if you believe that this kind of ancestral knowledge deserves a place in our modern world, then help us keep it alive. Every time you share this video, you are handing this file to someone else, creating a network of understanding that cannot be controlled or silenced. Subscribe to become part of a community dedicated to rediscovering these truths, because there is so much more that has been hidden in plain sight. The most powerful changes begin with a simple choice to look where they told you not to ask why something so simple was made so complex. Remember this. The most profound medicine doesn't always come from a sterile lab with a patent number attached. Sometimes it has been waiting for centuries in the quiet shade of a single leaf.